Did you know as humans we spend one third or 26 years just sleeping? Yet most of us suck at it, especially students. Something to think about. As a student, you've probably thought to yourself at some point, I've got 8 hours of sleep, but I still feel tired. So why is this the case? You might be following the rules in terms of going to bed on time, getting 8 hours of sleep, but you still wake up feeling like a zombie. Most students think sleep is about the number of hours you get. But what if the way you're sleeping is just completely wrong? So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 things that you might be currently doing as we speak that is drastically affecting your sleep. I'll specifically be covering a bedtime habit you think helps, but is actually ruining your brain, a hydration mistake that secretly is destroying your sleep, and the 1 5-minute ritual that has saved me 7 hours of sleep a week. Before we get into any of that, if you're new here on the KISS YouTube channel, welcome. Here at KISS, we're on a mission to make learning simpler, smarter, and more personal. We do that by hiring some of the best talent here in Australia, so students like you can get results and build skills that actually last beyond just school. If that sounds like your vibe, you can learn more about us using the links in the description. But for now, let's get into fixing your sleep. Now, I know many of you have done last-minute revision sessions past 12 p.m. or maybe even spent the night writing an entire English paper that was due tomorrow. I've definitely done something along these lines, definitely not writing an English paper the night before. But you and I know that this habit of leaving things to the last minute and cramming things to be done towards hours that should be dedicated to your sleeping is not only sabotaging your sleep, but also your learning and your life in general. Now, here's the thing. Any stimulation-based activity like studying or reading is going to activate your brain, whereas sleep requires your brain to wind down, to slow down. And so when you try to read at night, especially, trying to cram last-minute study content for that upcoming test, your brain is going to get really confused. Because on one end, you're telling it, let's dig deep into this, let's analyze this. Whereas your body is really saying, can we shut down, please? Can we log off? And by the way, if you find yourself struggling to study effectively and leaving things to the last minute for cramming, you can actually watch our previous video, which goes through how to study effectively without burning out at all. Now, instead of forcing my brain into this conflicted battle, what I started to do when I was studying for the HSC or even university was focusing my study sessions around my biological prime time. Now, these are the times of day where my energy is naturally higher or lower. Now, of course, everyone's is different, and so here's what I suggest you guys do in order to find yours. For the next 3 days, you should consider tracking your energy levels. Now, this is very simple to do based off observation, but you're essentially looking for the times in the day where you're most alert and comparing it to the times in the day where you are just naturally tired and flat out. And then what you're going to do is focus your study sessions or any stimulation-based activity around the times where you are at your highest energy levels and focusing on more leisure activities and giving body the rest and comfort it deserves in the periods where you have less energy naturally. Let's get into point 2. All right, let's talk about this guy. Hydration, of course, is important to how we function as humans. However, sometimes we leave hydration and consuming water to the last minute, and therefore it largely affects our sleep. You see, that one glass of water that you have just before going to bed, or any liquid for that matter, it's actually disrupting our sleep cycle. Even that one wake up during the middle of the night because you have to rush to the bathroom can absolutely disrupt not just your sleep, but also the day ahead. You see, in my case, when it's happened to me, I can't fall back to sleep. And so what happens is I feel way more tired when I get up than I should because I've lost about 2 to 3 hours of proper deep sleep. Now, you can majorly avoid this if you follow the previous step about making sure that you aren't reserving stimulating based activities just before going to bed. However, I do understand that some of you might just operate better later in the night. And so if you find this is you, what you should do is create what I like to call a hydration schedule. Think of this as specific times in the day where you can and should consume liquids, and a specific time where no more liquid consumption is allowed. I try to make sure that I am fully hydrated by 9 p.m. because studies show that you shouldn't be consuming any liquids or even food matter 1 to 2 hours before sleeping because, of course, it's going to disrupt your sleep. So by following a hydration schedule, you'll be able to still get the recommended 2 to 3 liters of water without affecting your sleep at all and still having the ability to sleep like a log. But even if you are well hydrated and you've avoided all the stimulation-based activities in the world, whether that be reading or whether that be doom scrolling, there's still one more habit that is killing your sleep before it even starts. And we're going to talk about it now. And of course, how to fix it. Now, this last one I know a lot of you can resonate with, but have you ever tried falling asleep and suddenly your brain starts planning out your entire life? For some reason, it just decides that it needs to answer all these questions like, what do I have to do tomorrow? Did I do those take-home tasks? Am I going to fail my ATAR? This honestly used to be me. I'd lie down, I'd close my eyes, and all of a sudden, my brain became a to-do list generator. Now, it turns out this habit isn't just affecting your sleep, it's also affecting how productive you will be the next day. You see, your brain loves pattern and routine, and so when you leave it unchecked and you don't give it the pattern and routine it needs, all of a sudden your brain spirals into anxiety. It doesn't understand what it needs to be doing in order to operate well. So here is how I rectified this issue of not planning ahead. Every night now, what I do is I try to pick out 3 key tasks that I want to work on tomorrow, and I will write this out digitally or sometimes even handwritten. I will ask myself, out of the 3 tasks that I've selected, which one, do I want to prioritize first based on my biological prime timing? That is when I have the highest level of energy. This forward thinking, forward planning style habit has saved me about 7 hours of sleep a week. And so it's no more of this midnight planning, staring into the ceiling, thinking about what you need to do next or what you need to do tomorrow. It's just being able to focus on your sleep, have the clarity, and fall asleep calmly. So before going to bed tonight, just write down tomorrow's 3 most important tasks that you want to focus on, and then pick the hardest one to prioritize first based on your biological prime time. And watch how much easier it is to just fall asleep. So if you've always felt tired, even with 8 hours of sleep, now you know that you should stop blaming your body and focus on fixing the actual habits that are confusing your brain. So no bright lights or deep thinking right before bed, hydrating earlier in the day, not later, and planning your day well in advance. You see, your brain is always after patterns and it tries to avoid chaos to its best of its ability. And when you do that and prioritize patterns and routines, you don't just get better sleep out of it, you also learn better, you feel better, and you live better. Now, of course, if you need help building these better study habits and eventually acing your exams, KISS Academics and our high-performing tutors have your back. From tutors in the top 3% of the country to some of the best resources out there, we have everything you need to make sure you actually enjoy and succeed in your studies. If you'd like to learn more about KISS Academics, feel free to click the link below to our Find a Tutor page to get your first free 30-minute study consultation. Besides this, continue to prioritize your sleep, and I'll catch you in the next one.